Fine, ma'am.
We can start.
We can start. Okay.
Just a minute.
Some live voice is getting, madam.
Yeah.
Okay. Jyoti ma'am, shall I start?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
A very delightful and startlingly beautiful evening to all the academicians, intellectuals, professors, esteemed and august members of the fraternity, research scholars, all dignitaries, and dear participants who have joined us live here for 8-day-long national level quality improvement program on National Education Policy 2020, India's Education 4.0 for futuristic growth. Virtually under the roof of auspices of Research Foundation of India and IQAC of Renuka College, Besa, Nagpur, in collaboration with IQAC of Yashoda Girls College of Arts and Commerce, Nagpur, Manohar Rao Kamni Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur, Dayanand Arya Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur, and Women's Arts and Commerce College, Nagpur. I anticipate all doing well and are safe from this present pandemic situation of COVID-19. At the outset, a huge bunch of congratulations to the team of 8-day-long national level quality improvement program to bring together the eminent fraternities from all over the world to share their views and opinions about the different facets on the topic National Education Policy 2020, India's Education 4.0 for futuristic growth. So let's be ready to take our flight to yet another session. I, Dr. Humaira Qureshi, entrusted by the organizing committee of the event to be the master of ceremonies, welcome you all to yet another fruitful, knowledge-enhancing and interactive session to drench our thirst of learning. The topic of today's session is quality parameters of international ranking of universities. Today on the third plenary day, with immense pleasure and regard, I bid a warm welcome among us the most eminent personality, our speaker for today, Honorable Principal Dr. Shirirsh Chindhade Sir, Member, Board of Trustees, AICP, Pune. On behalf of all gathered here, I accord a hearty welcome to you, sir. Now I take an opportunity to welcome to all who made this conference functional and allowed us to meet some of the most brilliant minds of the country as speakers for this 8-day-long national level quality improvement program. Our conveners, that is, principal of the 5 cluster colleges. Dr. Jyoti Patil ma'am, Dr. Dhanraj Shetty sir, Dr. Usha Sakure ma'am, Dr. Shraddha Anil Kumar ma'am, and Dr. Narendra Dikshit sir. I also welcome our organizing secretary, Dr. Ramanik Lingure sir. I extend my warm greetings to the IQAC coordinators of the 5 cluster colleges, Mr. Abdul Shamim sir, Dr. KG Meshram sir, Dr. Meenakshi Vasnik ma'am, Dr. Sujata Chakravarti ma'am, and Dr. MB Shamkule sir. The success of the event under the auspices of Research Foundation of India in collaboration with 5 cluster colleges directly and indirectly goes to eminent delegates and participants who have shown their interest, willingness, and the overwhelming response. Join us here live on Zoom and YouTube. I welcome you all participants from varied universities around the nation for being live with us. I'm truly delighted with your presence. Welcome one and all. And I assure that this 8-day-long National Quality Improvement Program will be very productive and worth your precious time. Now, before we take our flight in the air of today's topic, let me take an opportunity to introduce the most pleasant, dynamic, and astonishing personality, Dr. Usha Sakure ma'am. She is rendering her services as Associate Professor, Head of the English Department, Principal, Manohar Rao Kamli Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur, with a huge experience of 30 years of teaching. To her credit, she has 25 research papers published in international peer-reviewed journals and more than 30 papers presented in national and international conferences. She's associated with various organizations actively and worked in different community committees of Rashtra Sangh Tukaroji Maharaj, Nagpur University, Nagpur. She holds the key post of Secretary of Central India Institute and Cultural Development, a pioneer body imparting quality education of rural education in Central India. She is the Secretary of Center for Literary Interaction and Creativity and Shakespeare Society of Central India. In addition to this, she is also the advisory manager, she is also an advisory management of Devta Lab Foundation. She is also the co-editor of Young Junction Monthly Career Magazine and Click Journal Insight. To add more feathers to her cap, she is a recipient of prestigious award, Bharat Jyoti Award and Vidarbha Bhushan Award. She is recently honored with the prestigious Savitribai Phule Award. She is a regular contributor of book reviews, travel-related articles in esteemed newspapers, and has many poems to her credits. With respect, I invite Dr. Usha Sakure ma'am to bestow your valuable introductory remarks. The virtual platform is all yours, ma'am. Over to you, Dr. Usha Sakure ma'am.
Thank you, Mira. Good evening, one and all. Respected today's resource person, Dr. Shirirsh Chindhade sir, all the dignitaries, teachers, and their participants. On behalf of all the coordinating colleges, I take this opportunity to accord a warm welcome to you all on the third day session to this Quality Improvement Program. NEP 2020, a touchstone to certainly transform our lives. As we all know, it will ensure sweeping changes and hence the need to get acquainted with the intricacies and challenges to achieve quality initiatives to envision an Indian-centric education system. Making changes and adapting to the new changes should be our watchword now. Yesterday, we had a great enlightening session on the structural changes in higher education in the context of NEP 2020 with our eminent resource person, Dr. Arvind Deshpande sir, who highlighted on the significant changes that are required and explained how our education system needs to be revamped, needs to be energized, and needs to be adjusted as there are many challenges associated with it, and how it can provide remedies and solutions to the problems to bring change in the educational atmosphere. Friends, quality is a critical factor in influencing the educational outcome of the institutes on one hand and employability of the students on the other. This requires developing an efficient monitoring mechanism to maintain and improve the standards of education. India's higher education system is the third largest in the world after China and the United States. In future, India will be one of the largest educational hubs, contributing directly into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society, but only if it is equipped with stringent quality assurance processes. Colleges and universities are ranked based on various combinations and factors. The criteria to rank a university includes combination of measures of fundings and endowment, research influence or excellence, specialization, expertise, admissions, students' options, awards, internalization, good employment, industrial linkages, historical reputations, and various other criteria worldwide. They are perceived as a measure of quality and hence create intense competition between all the universities worldwide, and how we cope up with it will be an interesting discussion to follow. Today is the third session, which is an incredibly significant one. I'm confident that all the participants will attain in-depth knowledge from the scholarly guidance of today's resource person, Dr. Shirirsh Chindhade sir, a very eminent personality who would be deliberating upon the most important key aspects of NEP 2020, quality parameters of international ranking of universities. As we know, NEP 2020 is opening doors to foreign universities, paving the way to set up campuses in the country as one of the major announcements made in the policy. With this new policy reforms, many are riding on a wave of optimism that now it will be possible to get quality education as global universities will establish their branch campuses in India. Not only these, but there are many more intriguing questions which will find answers in this important session, which we will witness shortly. Hence, without wasting much time, let us move towards our session and aim to make India a global knowledge superpower. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Usha Sakure ma'am, for enlightening us with your introductory remarks and making us familiar with the topic of today's discourse. Excellence is not being the best, it is doing your best. This evening, the task of introducing our guest speaker is a great privilege. With pride and honor, I am here to introduce to you the man of the hour, whom we chose to be the eminent speaker of today's session. I feel elated to introduce him to everyone this evening. He is a living inspiration to all in the field of academics. Please join me in introducing Principal Dr. Shirirsh Chindhade sir, Member, Board of Trustees, AICP, Pune. He has earned his doctorate in English literature and conducted lectures in English literature for undergraduate and postgraduate students. In his tenure, he guided a dozen students of PhD. He is a trained assessor for the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. He is very fond of poetry, and his love for poems is inherited from his grandfather and father, late Mr. Vasant Chindhade sir. Good translators are often perfectionists, proud of their professionalism and quality. So is Principal Dr. Shirirsh Chindhade sir. He inscribes in Marathi and English and translates it in both the languages. To his credit, he has written 12 books with diverse interests, such as critical appreciation of poems, essays, research, NAC assessment, and textbook for undergraduate students in English poetry. His English translation of Marathi autobiography has been published by Oxford University Press under the title Bhim Sen Joshi, My Father. He is the recipient of state-level Adarsh Guru Samman Puruskar instituted by the Shukla Madhyadin Maharashtriya Brahman Madhyavarti Mandal, Pune.
Oh, great.
Thank you, sir. Apart from his busy schedule, he extracts time for his leisure and prefers listening Indian national music.
Am I to take over now?
Yeah, today is being a pleasant evening. We'll be privileged to have the opportunity to listen to you, sir, on the topic quality parameters of international ranking of universities. So without any further delay, with great pride and honor, I invite you, sir, on this virtual platform to cast the light of your knowledge upon all of us.
Do I click on share the screen now?
Yes, sir. You can share your screen.
Okay, and now I click on, there are 3 images here.
Yes, sir. Click the second or first. First, if you click, you will share the entire screen of your laptop. You click
Okay,
the
okay.
second one.
I think it's come.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's
Yeah.
visible.
Is there clarity enough about the slides? Okay. Now let me thank the good lady for keeping the introduction very short, because the usual experience is that the longer the introduction, the greater the chances of failure of the presentation. Okay. Therefore, I must really thank her for the terseness, the shortness of presentation of the eminent, world famous speaker's introduction and all those things. Okay. Now, it's creditable, it's remarkable that 5 colleges have come together in and around Nagpur and have ventured on this kind of an exercise, which I think is beneficial not only to the colleges but to the entire state and probably beyond that, because there are people, I am aware, from outside Maharashtra also who have logged in and are listening to us. So this is highly creditable, because this is one thing that I believe, I understand the new education policy expects colleges to follow, namely coming together, working together works, as it is said. Okay, And therefore, unless we keep helping each other, unless we keep helping one another, the going is going to be tough, okay? And therefore, we will have to form into clusters. And this is a great idea that 5 colleges with 5 principals, and there are members of the teaching staff also, which is a great thing because ultimately it is they, because the principal is normally the facilitator, but the teachers, the staff itself will be implementing whatever decisions have been made together by the IQAC with the leadership of the principal and so on and so forth. Therefore, I begin on this very happy note of appreciation that this cluster event is really very significant and quite a model for others. As a matter of fact, it's very exemplary. And I must congratulate all of them, all the principals, including Jyotiji, who knows me personally, and therefore I mention her. But when I mention her, it means that I'm mentioning the other gentlemen also. My brother principal is also there. And also members of the staff, those who have introduced me, those who have been the masters of the ceremony and all that, actually. So with that done, with that said, let me now go to the slides proper. And most of you will think that I'm starting on a negative note, starting on a rather depressing note. Now, this is the kind of news item you keep reading year in, year out. Every year, actually, every year. And at least I have kept track of this kind of thing for the last half a dozen years or so, about 6 years or so, which in other words means that ever since this kind of a rating started, it's a new idea, it's a new activity. And let us remember that this is an entirely voluntary activity, okay? There is no compulsion for any institution, any university at all to participate in that. As a result of which, although there may be thousands and thousands of, India itself has 1,000 plus universities actually, so the whole world considered, put together, I'm sure it could be more than 40,000, 50,000, but hardly 10,000 universities participate in this exercise. Okay, because as I said, this is voluntary. So out of these 10,000, I'm not suggesting that those who do not participate don't qualify at all. No, that's not the suggestion. I'm not suggesting that at all, because in India itself and abroad everywhere, there may be several institutions. There may be several universities who are doing excellent job, excellent work, and they can easily enter the first 100, first 200 ranks of the rating, as a matter of fact. But anyway, they have their own consideration, they have their own limitations, they have their own philosophy for not entering the competition, because it's a kind of a competition actually, giving out a message to what is best available in education, in higher education, on the international level. So this is what is happening as far as we are concerned, as far as India is concerned. And time and again, every speaker who talks about higher education or education in general never forgets mentioning the fact that we have one of the largest, network, one of the largest networks of education in this country, next to China and all those things are there, many of them are enthusiastic enough to mention Takshashila and all those great, Shravasti and so on and so forth, Where have they gone? The whole problem is, where have they gone? Because they are 3,000 years away from us now, actually. We are in 2021. So what happened in between in the last 3,000 years? Let us not really get into the jungle, the forest of history, actually, and try to find out reasons, actually. What I would try to do is actually, towards the conclusion of my presentation, probably an answer to the questions that I'm raising now, what happened to us in between, would be clear, actually, And therefore, I would straight away now go to this idea of why no world-class parameters at all. The first question that some of you might be asking us, asking me, it's not a question that needs to be asked, actually, for the simple reason that globalization facilitates, it compels transnational movement, and there are several fields in which this transnational, international movement is happening. One of the biggest reasons why this kind of a movement across the borders is happening is education. Okay, education is a huge, big sunrise industry. In fact, why should I call it a sunrise industry? It has always been a big industry because the story goes that Socrates was such a popular teacher in Athens, in Greece, that people ran after him, and even leaders and ministers and rulers of state, they also went to him and requested him to accept their vagabond children actually to study under him. He was a very strict teacher and wouldn't do that. He was very selective and so on and so forth. What I'm suggesting, uh, Rama and Krishna also had to go to the ashram of their gurus actually. So you'll see that education is fundamental. It's a foundation actually, for a good life. And therefore, people are becoming more and more aware, more and more cautious about the best quality of education for their wards, for their children actually, And therefore, obviously, the impact of globalization is directly on education. Not so much as on primary and secondary, but at least on higher education and postgraduate and research and so on and so forth. So this is one reason why a lot of transnational, international, across the border activity has been, it's on the increase now, as a matter of fact, actually, I will be indulging in some statistical data later on during the slides. What are the other reasons? Probably business, job, corporate requirements, yes, okay. Uh, there is a book called The World is Flat. Okay, the world is flat. Actually, So the roundedness is no longer there, because if there is the roundedness, you can't see the other side of the round. But the world is flat, actually, and therefore we can see across as to what is happening. The computer people call it the real-time knowledge, actually, I mean. Immediately, if something is happening in United States, in some far off corner in one of the 50 states in United States, then in Pune itself, in Nagpur itself, in Besa itself, we are glued to our television and we see things actually happening. So the world is flat, and in a single minute, in a jiffy of a moment, actually, we can connect ourselves to all the affairs of the world. But this is a corporate requirement, organized business requirement, for the simple reason that business is spreading across. That's the whole simple thing, actually, spreading across the borders, and therefore it's a growing need. It's an urgent need. It's a need that involves huge funds, a lot of money, actually, And where there is money, people will naturally go. Why did people come to India over the last 3,000 years? Actually, in Marathi we have a saying, beautiful saying, "Astil shite, tar jamtil bhute." If you have food, people will gather around you. People will come to you. Look at that. Alexander came. Look at the Shakas came, the Huns came, the Kushanas came, then came the Mughals, then came Islam with them, then came the British, the Portuguese, even Bangladeshis coming today, actually. Why do people want to go to India, to come to India? There are clear reasons, obvious reasons. India has something to offer. We will see what India can offer a little later on, but we are looking into why is there so much of international interaction among people, among institutions, So tourist interest, obviously, many of you, I'm sure, sitting across, many of you must have done at least 5, 6, 7 countries around now by this time, because the 7th pay commission actually allows us to do some of these things now. So tourist industry is on the rise. And it's a huge, I mean, currently because of COVID-19 situation, it has been affected very adversely. But we can look up, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, organized companies are busy in this great business of tourism, both intranational and international. Cultural visits, yes, artists keep going on, and drama groups keep going on. Sports, yes, obviously. People wanted from Pune to go to, they want to go to Japan, for Olympics and all those things, So sports activity is also one of the centers of attraction for this transnational, international movement, actually, There are, of course, more specialized areas like medical health, okay, surgery, those amongst us who can afford, they go to England, to America, and get surgery done, medical treatment done on them, and so on and so forth. Conferences, yes. I was reading an interesting book by David Lodge, I think, Changing Places. And there are two college principals talking to each other. He says, what is happening in the college? One principal asked another principal, what is happening in the college? And the second principal says, nothing much is happening in the college because 50% of my teachers are in the airplane up there, Why? Because they have gone abroad to attend conferences. Okay, so this is the realistic situation coming up. Actually, let me be very frank with you. You have praised me a lot as a resource person, but I have never attended a single conference. I have never read a single paper outside India, actually, about my subject and so on. In those times, the opportunities, I think, were very limited, and we did not have so much of money also, and so on and so forth. But anyway, now the portals are opening, the doors are opening, actually, and therefore, conferences are a big activity. Medical conferences, engineering conferences in general, of educational value, actually, And of course, maybe I'm sure a good lot of you will agree, family assignments. The grandchildren going there to look after the newly born child in the family there, somewhere in Chicago, somewhere in California, and so on and so forth, actually, So parenting, actually, also, this is also on the increase. It's happening in a very big way, I tell you. Connected? No problem?
No, slight problem was there, but now it's okay, sir.
Okay. So because I got a message that the internet is fluctuating and all
Slightly,
that.
yeah.
Anyway. So on-site and virtual modes of conferencing, meeting, and all those things are on the increase, and WhatsApp and internet and all those things are of great help for all these things. So the world has become narrow, in simple words, And so we have started already talking in terms of the global village. Okay, the global village. A concept, an idea, a philosophy which is not really new for us because hey विश्वशी माझे घर ऐशी मती जयाची स्थिर किंबहुना चराचर आपणची जाहाला. This is what Jnaneshwar Maharaj says in Marathi verses, actually. So विश्वची माझे घर, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम idea is actually a very long established fact, philosophy with us. So these are some of the ways, some of the reasons, actually, why we have been moving out. This may be slightly old data, but things really have not changed much between 2008 and 2021. The statistics have not been much damaged as far as the outflow to US, outflow to UK, and then there are other segments also, other smaller countries also where people are going. Now, probably I keep hearing the two names in a frequent way, actually, Australia and Canada. People have been moving out for education purposes and for staying also, for migrating also. Especially, I'm told in Punjab, this activity is happening, on a very large scale, that young people from Punjab are shifting to Canada, actually, and maybe 25-30% of them must be going for educational advancement, educational purposes. So this is look at this one, actually. I mean, gives a general idea, a rough idea. Our incremental students abroad. When I say abroad, this is only from India. Imagine people from India, students from India, and despite COVID situation, actually, applications are being flooded in the embassies of UK and Australia and Canada and the USA and so on and so forth. So USA alone is a big catchment area. Imagine that. 1 lakh, above 1 lakh people. Australia, imagine, students have been going to Australia also in a very big number, actually. In Canada, okay, now competition is increasing between Australia and Canada now, Okay, then UK 15,000. Once upon a time, everybody is aware, every young man from a good family or in a middle class family, Savarkar, for example, was a person from a less than middle class Brahmin family, actually, but he also went to England to become a barrister. So that was a common idea, people would go, young people from Nehru went, Subhash Chandra Bose went, and thousands of young people. The final destination, because they would get a good job and some of them would get English wives also in England. So UK was once upon a time a very popular hub, mainly for the sake of education. I remember in Ferguson, here in Ferguson College in Pune, the principal had a degree from Oxford. Imagine, he had a degree from Oxford. And the college where I studied, it's called an SP college, Sir Parshuram Bhav College in Pune. The principal had his postgraduate degree and postgraduate degree from the University of Canterbury. I'm talking of a situation 40 years ago. So these are all places in England, actually. So that was the situation. once upon a time. Pardon?
तुला काय बी ना
Okay, there is some infiltration. Ask them to mute their mics, And then there is that section miscellaneous, all kinds of things, put together. About 1 lakh people have been moving out of India. And now look at these world trends. Okay, foreign students in the United States. It's a whopping number of 7 lakh plus. Imagine 7 lakh plus. From India, I have mentioned this already. Slightly in 2021, it's slightly reducing by 1% because of COVID situation. I suppose, I'm sure of that actually, and visa problems are also there. They are scared. Americans and English people are scared of admitting people from outside the borders actually, because of the pandemic. So that's understandable. So it could be, I don't know, but it could be a temporary happening, a temporary situation that the enrollment abroad is slightly decreasing. One doesn't know whether it will go up later on, and so on and so forth. From China, what a big number actually, we have been talking about China as having one of the biggest systems of education. Now look at this. In spite of that, because it has more than 3,000 universities. Imagine, China has about 3,000 universities. We have 50% less, I suppose, So in spite of the gross enrollment ratio, it's already 50% plus in China, already 50% plus. And still there are learners, new generation learners actually, So number of people. I was lucky to stay in the United States for many times actually, and in the colony where we stayed, we used to see Chinese students actually, Chinese families, and they had shifted mainly because one of them was a student somewhere in the university and maybe doing post-graduation and so on and so forth. So this is the situation, and I will believe in this figure that about 1,58,000 students go practically every year to to United States. Then look at the other way around, at the situation. US students in India, slightly on the reduction, number is reducing actually, 3,884, okay? And how about US students in China? Politically, they may not be compatible in their philosophies, China and America. They may not be compatible. They may not agree on certain ideas, certain things, because one is a communist country, the other Marxist country, the other is a capitalist country. Both are philosophically, ideologically inimical to each other. But then that has not prevented the exchange of students both ways actually, So this is what we need to know, that education rises above some of these differences actually, Why do they go? What are the fields which are popular abroad, in universities abroad actually? As far as the United States are concerned, okay, business management is the most popular area, okay? They want to get an MBA, and as far as possible, MBA from Harvard, MBA from Princeton, MBA from Pennsylvania, MBA from from Yale University and so on and so forth. You know, they are called 7 Ivy League universities. I'll talk about that a little later on, you know. Next to that is engineering, then mathematics and computer science, physical, life sciences, social sciences, fine and applied arts, okay. There was a big trend once upon a time in India among the young people to go to Cambridge and especially Oxford, mainly for the sake of the study of British literature, English literature actually, you know, okay. And now the trend has gone down a lot actually, you know. Not many, I haven't heard of many people going abroad to Oxford or Cambridge. I mean, not from people I know actually, you know, and the whole situation around. So literature studies, as far as on-site visit to UK may be falling on evil times, but for fine arts and drama, for instance, actually, and so many other activities are there, architecture, and so several things are there, like applied arts, you know. Okay, yes, medical health profession, intensive English language learning. Oh, great! Look at that, and this is what Chinese have been doing actually, you know. Chinese, okay, Chinese want their students to understand English well, and therefore they keep sending in droves and droves in big numbers their students for 6 months, 8 months to learn, you know, practical English in everyday usage, spoken English, for example, you know, English for communication purposes and all that, you know, because the pronunciation is a difficult matter, you know, for us. You know, I don't follow much of American English actually, and in spite of my familiarity with the language actually, you know. So what I'm trying to suggest, you know, China is possessed of this situation. China is possessed of this issue, this problem actually, you know. Therefore, they go there for that actually, you know. Then education, law 2%, humanities, agriculture, and miscellaneous. Okay, we go ahead. Just a brief look at what is happening at the end of our universities. I'm very happy to mention that because I mentioned it in the first place actually, you know, University of Pune, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule University, Savitribai Phule University of Pune actually, you know. And 99, this is updated data, okay? I have checked on this actually from 99 countries, imagine. And I know I used to visit the English department as a student and as a teacher later on. So I know I have visited this center several times because we used to teach English for the African students actually, you know, once upon a time. So it has a separate center for foreign students. Okay, why? Simply because there is such a big clientele available. So many people want to come to India, either less to Mumbai and more to Pune. Look at the figure, University of Mumbai, 12,000 less, 4,000 less than 2,000 less than Pune University. Doesn't speak about the quality difference between the two, you know. No, I'm not suggesting that, you know. What I'm suggesting is actually, you know, convenience is very important, you know. Residential accommodation and all the things, cost of living, these things matter after all, you know. Hostels, like Pune University has a separate hostel for them actually, you know. Therefore, convenience of accommodation is an important consideration, you know. Then Bengaluru, yes, highest. Bengaluru is one of the topmost hubs actually, you know, of higher education activity, and has been attracting people from all over the world. And it's obviously an IT center also. So scattered in various higher education institutions all over India, about 60,000 people from abroad are studying in India. Now, this is something interesting, you know. The government is seized of, the government has understood this difficulty. You know, more and more students would like to go out. More and more students from outside would like to come to India. So Ontario, Maharashtra, Goa has an understanding. They have signed an MOU, Ontario University, okay, and Goa University. They have, now the government, not university, government, okay. Now, what is the MOU, you know, established in 2007 by the government of Ontario. And this is what they are there. Development of post-secondary education, which we call here higher education actually, you know. Okay, so there is an exchange facility, exchange scheme. They keep helping one another, each other, and this has become an officially recognized activity actually, you know, which in other words suggests that the governments are state governments, the central government, they are seized of the situation, they are seized of the problem. The new education policy, in fact, wants India to be the hub for students coming from abroad and studying our 64 arts, especially yoga and Indian music and Indian art, Indian culture, Indian philosophy, and so on and so forth, actually. You know. So that is one of the targets, actually, you know, for as far as the new education policy is concerned. So this is one very big, very officially significant step ahead. Okay, now what is the coverage? What are these people doing? Ontario, Maharashtra, Goa. Okay, this is designed to include all fields, first of all degree levels, at degree levels, bachelor's, master's, doctoral levels, and so on and so forth. Why are these things on the increase? Why would people like to exchange borders, go out of their borders? Okay, especially from shall we say from the developing countries. Well, we are a developing country. African countries are developing countries, you know. So from the developing countries to the shall I add, so-called developed countries like UK and USA, Australia, Canada, and so forth. Like even Singapore, for the matter of that. Singapore has one of the best systems of education, let me tell you. So why is this happening? The main reason is competition is growing actually, okay? Benchmark standards in education, standard in work style, standard in output, they are continuously going up. And if they are going up everywhere, then we have to vie with them. We have to compete with them. We have to be on a par. Indian students have to be on a par with them. And therefore, this is one very big reason why this kind of an international activity is constantly on the increase actually. Fast exchange of ideas, the world is flat, I told you, and real-time exchange of ideas is very easily what is happening in England right now. We understand it immediately here in Pune, in India, in Besa, in Nagpur, and so on and so forth. Now look at this, the next one, high rate of things becoming old, things becoming outdated, obsolescence, outdatedness, okay? Ideas are becoming outdated. You know, it is said very interestingly, science is a junkyard of ideas, okay? Science is a junkyard of ideas. Once upon a time, for example, penicillin was so important. DDT insecticide was so important. Do they exist now? They've already disappeared. Already disappeared. How many of you sitting for this presentation? How many of you are using CD-ROM? How many of you are using ink pen? How many of you are using cyclostyling machine in your colleges? How many of you are using box-type camera? How many of you are using tape recorder? The young people do not have, they haven't even seen it, they haven't even heard of it actually, you know. So what I'm suggesting, things, the speed of ideas becoming old and new ideas taking up, innovation, okay? New ideas coming in. The old order changes, you know, the teachers of English sitting in the audience probably know. Tennyson has already long ago told us, the old order changes, yielding place to new. New things will keep coming in. We can't stop them. We can't prevent them actually, you know. Otherwise, one good custom should corrupt the world. Anyway, so anything good cannot continue for a long time because another good is coming and which is probably better than the good one that we already had, you know. So the rate of obsolescence is one very strong reason, very solid, valid reasons why internationalization of this educational activity is happening. This is a very important principle that I'm talking about. You know, the next idea, general interdependence. Some of you must have read a very interesting book by Stephen Covey called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay. And there he points out, Stephen Covey points out, there are 3 activities possible. There are 3 situations possible. Number 1, independence. Number 2, dependence. And number 3, interdependence. Now he says in the globalized world, in the fast changing world, total independence for any country whatsoever is forget. It's not possible at all. Okay, it's not possible. So total dependence is also ruled out. Total independence is ruled out. So what is the third possibility? What is the third choice for the whole world? Is interdependence. Okay. I'll take only a very simple example actually, and go ahead, because you can find out so many other examples of how we depend on each other, A lot of printing work, in English language is being now transported to India, because one advantage for India is that we know English language and we have computers and we have people who can compose and who can feed and so on and so forth actually, So a lot of, shall I say, proofreading activity, okay. Lot of editing activity has been flowing from the developed world to India actually. Printing activity is coming to India because we are doing extremely well in that area also. The quality of book making, the quality of book production has certainly improved, it has increased. And therefore you see general interdependence. So small jobs which they do not want to, the developed countries do not want to spend their energies on and resources on, these are being shifted, And that's why we have call centers also, okay? Call centers is an excellent example of interdependence. Let us understand that, And therefore, this is one reason which is a result of globalization actually. And look at that one. The last one, I think, is what we should be cautious about, And it gives us a feeling of smallness, a feeling of inferiority. And it says high credibility of foreign degrees, okay? High credibility. Does it mean that the degree from my university is not credible, is not believable, is not good, doesn't have quality? I am not answering these questions. I'm just trying to raise some questions here actually, Competencies required. Most of us are familiar with these ideas, like some of these global competencies like demand for communication skills. So you will see that there is a clear, visible shift from studying pure literature. Literature is important. People are studying literature. There is a re-emphasis on studying literature and fine arts actually. That's one way. But at the same time, only studying literature as an aesthetic concern is not adequate for practical reasons actually on the global level. And therefore, communication skills have become very important actually. Demand for good cultural acquaintance. We must know a few things about the country with which we are dealing actually, their cultural traditions, their manners and mannerisms, their history and so on and so forth. Absolutely necessary. This facilitates interaction, okay, with them, and business booms, business goes up actually. And there is also demand for good soft skills, and obviously NAC has been putting a lot of emphasis, asking questions after questions in the manual, in the SSR. What soft skills are you teaching your students? Okay, so we are familiar with some of these ideas, I'm just recapitulating them, otherwise you will forget some of them, okay. Cognitive skills, problem solving, critical thinking, this is what the industry is looking for now actually, okay. This is what the industry is looking for. Shiva Khera, that management guru, for example, once said, we employ engineers, okay. We employ engineers for their engineering degrees, high engineering degrees. We hire them for their degrees and we fire them because they do not have these skills, okay. They do not have this knowledge, problem solving, then critical thinking, and then negotiation skills, communication skills, and so on and so forth actually, And then, so this is a new idea coming up. We have been hearing this, we have been listening to this idea quite some time now, out of the box. This obviously refers to problem solving, in a way. All research is expected now to be a problem solving activity, okay? And therefore, it involves a lot of creativity, new ideas. Creativity is a result of imagination, and imagination is a quality that creates new things, images, new images, image making faculty. Imagination is described as image-making faculties, creating new things. Okay. So we say sometimes God is the greatest creator because nothing existed and he created everything actually, And then we also say poets, Shunya Maji Vasahati Vasolya. The poet spend turns the airy nothing and gives a local habitation and a name to the airy nothing, as Shakespeare says actually, Okay, so we go ahead. Creativity has suddenly become a how shall we say, watchword now. Okay, it's a buzzword now everywhere. So why world-class education? Again, we come back to the same idea. And again, the first reason you will find is that foreign degrees are, highly believable, highly acceptable, highly credible, Why does this happen? When we go actually to the discussion of what the high-rank universities the world over on the international level doing, then we will understand why their degrees are so coveted, so desirable, so desired. Education, the primary mover of development. Suddenly there is a very clear understanding and perception on the part of even common people. I'm tempted to give a very interesting example. We happened to be in one of the centers of tourist centers in Himalaya somewhere actually, And I was speaking in Marathi with a friend of mine, from my state, and a gentleman listening to us, he came to us and he said, "Are you from Maharashtra?" I said, "Yes." "Why?" He said, "I'm from Satara." Okay, and the conversation started. I said, "Why have you come? What do you do?" He said, "I'm a soldier. Okay, I'm on leave." So I said, "Why have you come to this costly place?" He said, "My son is studying in the public school here." Imagine, my son is studying in the public school here. We were shocked. We were aghast. I said, "Arey bhai, you are, I'm very sorry to say, but your salary may not allow you to do that." "Haan, wo to hai hi, sir. My salary does not allow me, but I sold a piece of my land actually, because education, sir, is very important now for children." What I'm suggesting actually, it has reached, the awareness has reached that level, the ordinary, the common level actually, And India, we know, is a poor country, so they are going through great hardships for good education, for higher education. And Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was very sensitive about giving the best quality of education to all, including, of course, people belonging to the, disadvantaged groups of our society and so on and so forth. Then we go, India is emerging important player in world affairs, and therefore we cannot keep away from all these activities. One of the most fundamental, I began with this idea, one of the most fundamental activities actually is education. We go ahead. Why do Indian students go? I'm here splitting actually, I'm trying to go into the details as much as possible actually, This is one reason, and this is, please go back to your 2020 new education policy 2020. What is the first big change they are bringing? Interdisciplinarity. Okay, this is the big word now. This is the watchword, and this is a good time to mention once again the cluster colleges, the 5 colleges that have come together. Please bring your IQAC people together, have a brainstorming session, and find out what new useful course you can give in the next 3-4 years to the people around. I know it's easier said than done. It's very difficult. It requires a lot of money, requires a lot of expertise. Where will you get the teachers and so on and so forth? But you can't avoid that. That's the whole problem, actually, So giving new things, giving interdisciplinary, looking at the whole curricula from the interdisciplinary angle actually has become an essential, unavoidable activity, unavoidable part. And therefore, why are people going there? A gentleman from one college here in, he was on the committee of the college actually. He was telling me that a very interesting situation happened in the case of his daughter. She had she had an engineering degree with first class, okay, with first class. And she had applied for Harvard MBA course, 2-year MBA course. And there were only 2 applications who were competitors actually, The other fellow had an engineering degree with a gold medal, okay? And this lady did not have a gold medal, but although the rank was very high, the credit was very high, but lo and behold, understand, this lady was selected. Why? Because her biodata said that she has acted in Marathi theatre, in Marathi drama, and got prizes on the national and international level. Now, this is what we mean by interdisciplinarity. We have been using the word holistic, holistic, holistic. Now, what is holistic? A rounded personality of human beings, actually. Is a full man, a whole man. Purushottam, as we call actually. So this is the final aim. This is the ultimate goal. We may or may not achieve a different thing, but at least this is an expectation. And this is easily available in most of them, in most of the universities abroad, especially the well-known ones like Harvard and Princeton and so on and so forth. And therefore, a very generous offer of courses to choose from. 30 courses, 40 courses, 50 courses, out of which you select 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus there are value additions. You earn extra credit, beyond the level, beyond the number of courses that you are required to complete for a particular degree. You can also opt for a few other courses and the credit is earned actually, So this great facility is yet to come to us, okay? Therefore, the new education policy is nudging us, is asking us to wake up as fast as possible. And colleges, if they come together, IQACs of different colleges coming together. And I will also go one step further and say, don't only come together, these 5 colleges, because they are not A grade, A plus grade colleges so far. Let's notionally, let us understand this. Find out an A plus college which is autonomous nearby. Tie up with them and they will keep guiding you, okay? Because UGC also has a scheme of Paramarsha. They keep helping other colleges actually, I know this Shroff College in Kandivali, for example, they are operating this Paramarsha scheme. The IQAC is doing a good work there actually, So they are very active about it. The IQAC coordinator and members of the IQAC, they have been continuously actually, trying to find out what can be done, not only for their own college, but for others actually, this is something great because this is the final aim. Open our doors for others also because education is for all. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan actually, So this is what we have to remember, and therefore, if a facility is not with you, try to have a tie-up with your neighboring institution. Come together, 5 people coming together, approaching an autonomous college, requesting them, please help us, please guide us, please tell us how we go about this business. We want to do this and this, or suggest what we should do so that we are more relevant to the society around us. Okay, opportunities to interact with global talent. This is necessary. Job opportunities abroad, obviously, that's why people go there. Fear of no vacancy. Okay, there is a sad example in Maharashtra about a week ago. Actually, the MPSC examinations and all those things. They were held, but the appointments are not made at all for the last 2, 3, 4 years. So young people are getting depressed. They are getting frustrated. And some people have ended their life actually, which is a sad situation. And then the Maharashtra government has suddenly woken up to this idea and said, no, we will surely take steps, and now the recruitment will start. So no vacancy tag is a frightening tag for young people, ambitious people actually. Social ambience, we are a poor country. Yes, transport facilities may not be very easily available for many distant, far hinterland areas and so on and so forth. Desire for freedom, yes. Go away from the home. Todi Sonyacha Pindara. There is a song in Marathi actually. Akashi Jhep Ghere Patara. Oh bird, please fly away now from your family because you are a grown-up person. Your wings are strong enough, Okay, so ambition, adventure. This is what the earlier president of USA has said about, it's a compliment, it's a great appreciation. And it's a fact actually, Indian children, even the spelling bee last year was a little girl from India. Now this year it is from somebody from Africa actually, spelling bee. Okay, so American children will have to face tough competition from children from China and India actually, because we have among the best brains in the world actually, because the tradition of knowledge has been well established, and this is where the Nalanda and Takshashila are relevant for us actually. We may not have degrees, but the traditional knowledge which people have actually with us actually is not comparable very easily, and therefore now we come to, this was only this was only the Namanala Gadavar tale, you know. I mean, I just wanted to create a background as to why, after all, what exactly do we mean by a world-class university? And everybody these days has been asking, ever since the, you know, world rating of university started, people have suddenly started asking, what, ye bhai kya hai bhai ye mamla kya hai? What is this world-class university after all? ये कौन सी मूली का फल है, कौन से पेड़ का फल है? Okay, major evaluators. Who are the agencies who are indulging, doing this kind of an activity actually? Shanghai. Okay, number 2 is Times Higher Education. Then we have cybernetics, Spain. University ranking by academic performance, URAP. And the most popular now, most widely accepted now, is the last one. The first 4 are slowly sliding out, slowly going out. Probably Times Higher Education is still, you know, breathing, still operative. The others are going out simply because, you know, this is becoming very, QS is becoming very popular, and more clientele is now coming. Quarterly Simons actually, you know, most popularly accepted now. Now these are some of the key aspects. Now let us think of these now. And this is a very general allocation, you know, the allocation weightage, what we call weightage, allocation of marks. It may go on changing. This year it may be slightly different. Next year it could be again different. And there could be an interchange, okay? There could be an interchange of weightages actually. But on the whole, the very first one is a challenge for Indian colleges, Indian teachers, Indian universities. Peer review, okay? Now we have started this NIRF activity in a big way, okay? And one of the slots in NIRF is called perception, okay? Remember that? Perception. What does perception mean? What do people around you, what do the institutions around you say about you? In what estimate are you held by the brother institutions around actually, you know? Where do you stand among your peers? How do they look at you? How do they rate you? How do they respect you? Okay. How do they, you know, where do you stand in the ranking for them, and so on and so forth. This keeps happening everywhere. In Pune also, there are 37 colleges actually, you know, giving different degrees, 37. But only 4, 5, 6 are, you know, in great demand. Okay. They are in great demand. Why does this happen? Peer review. Okay. So what do the common people say? What does the society say? How does the society perceive you? So perception is important actually, you know. Citation, and we are not doing well at all as far as citation is concerned. Citation is recognition of our research ideas, our research papers on the international level, okay? And we are very low. I'm sure about 2% or something in China, and even Singapore is much higher than we are. Okay, Singapore is about state of Mumbai actually, you know, not bigger than that. But the central university, the national university, you know, is among the first 50, always among the first 50. Imagine why it happens, you know. One of my teachers who taught me at Pune University level, he had a Rhodes scholarship, you know. Only 2 people are selected from India for the scholarship, Rhodes scholarship. He was invited in Singapore by this university actually, you know. So he belongs to that English department there now actually, you know. He has settled in Singapore, you know. We met him the other day, and he was telling us that not many students keep coming to my department from India, whereas people from other countries keep coming to my department. So one of the best universities actually, you know, although the size of the country is less than the size of the state here actually, you know, right? A big metropolis like Mumbai actually, you know. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is citation per faculty, 20 marks. Student, faculty, yeah. Now this is our problem actually, you know. We have a huge population, and grand gross enrollment, GER, yes, gross enrollment ratio is a big challenge for us. Right now we are somewhere in 2021, I'm told we are somewhere near 25, 26, 27. Okay, 27%. And the education policy now says, well, speed up colleges, speed up institutions, speed up, because by 2030, okay, 2035, you have to reach at least 50%. So how many teachers we will need? How many teacher institutions we will need? How much of infrastructure we will need? Imagine that actually, double the number that we have now actually, So what is happening at present? Now, please hold your breath because I am giving you an example which will shock you. We have one college in Nasik. Many of you have heard the name of Nasik actually, There is one college in Nasik and it's an art, science, commerce and computer education, so what we call mainstream college, all right? Mainstream college. Now imagine what is the enrollment there. 16,000 plus. Imagine 16,000 plus. And Devinderji the other day was saying that there are a high number of colleges where the enrollment is less than 150, less than 100. So this is the disparity. This is the situation actually in our country. So think of a place in my own college, retired. I think I retired 100 years ago. So in my college, in those days actually, okay, in those days, the class would have more than 140 students at a time. We were allowed 125, okay? The university allowed 125. But my institution being a minority institution, we argued with the university, said, no, sir, we want a few more seats actually, and we were allowed graciously enough. We were allowed. So 150, imagine one teacher shepherding 150 sheep in one classroom. So this is a very challenging, a very difficult situation. This, my dear friends, never happens in foreign universities because for a specialized course at graduate level, upper graduate level and postgraduate level, you will see hardly 10 students, okay? Hardly 12 students, hardly 8 students. Now, once again, I go back mentally to my English, MA English in Pune University, Believe it, in my time, the head of the department is a great man, from Oxford. Imagine, we had a teacher from Oxford in those days, Dr. Nagarajan. So, he admitted only 8 students in my batch. Imagine. That was a standard at Harvard. Imagine. So can we maintain that standard now? Is it possible? So what will happen to our grand gross enrollment ratio? So this is a big challenge for us, what I'm suggesting. And that is why, as far as this count is concerned, we naturally will fail. We will not get any marks out of 10 at all, 0 marks. So this is where we are losing actually. We are losing in the first one. We are losing in the second one. Now let us see what is happening. Recruiter review. I think this is a very new concept coming to us. I think NAC has asked one question now in the SSR. So what is the perception of the employer of your students? Recruiter is the employer. Okay. So have you ever had a feedback from a person who has employed your student? I think hardly 5% colleges are doing that. Hardly. Okay. There may be several reasons why it is not happening, but this is a necessity because it is a part of perception of the society. Because they will give you a perception, they will give you a judgment. Sir, the student that you have sent, is excellent, is wonderful. His communication skills are good. He's very punctual. He writes very well. His English is good. Then his handwriting is good. He's very punctual. All these are qualities necessary for the sake of efficient delivery, efficient work production actually, And therefore, recruiter review is very important, very necessary. We are not counting well in that, under that head also. So this is where we are losing marks actually, How can we top the list? That is the whole simple problem now that I am raising before you. International students, okay. How can we have, therefore NAC was asking this question, do you remember? In the old manual, there was a question, how many students from abroad are in your college? And how many teachers from out of the state are in your college? These were 2 questions. So colleges protested. They told NAC, now this is a silly question. You should not ask this. Show us 10 universities in Maharashtra, in India, where there are foreign students coming. Hardly 1 or 2. So how can foreign students come to colleges? Forget that. So NAC has knocked out that question now from undergraduate. Okay, from undergraduate questionnaire, undergraduate matrix, we say matrix now, new terminology coming, not question. Forget the word question now, matrix is coming. Okay, so this is what is happening, international students. So we don't fare there also properly. So imagine, calculate mentally how many marks we have already lost. Okay, and how can we get a place into the high-ranking universities of the world and so on and so forth. Yeah, some more criteria, they are coming. I mean, it's not exhausted. Okay, research output. Well, a good number of people are coming after post-graduation for doing research. Only today in papers in Times of India, there is a news that research guides are not available. Okay. 4,000 students are waiting to enroll for PhD and research guides are not available. Imagine, look at the situation. Gross enrollment ratio and all those things, okay? We have been talking about all these big ideas actually, what is the provision that we are making for them? That's a sad state actually, In America, in United States, every time, whatever good things are there, we have to mention those people. So until a professor says, I am not going to work now as a guide, he continues to be a guide actually. So there is no age bar. There is no age limit. But in India, if you are 60 plus, you are done up. Nobody wants you. Okay? Far less the university. The university doesn't want you at all because you are a useless fellow. So this is a silly situation, I tell you actually. This is one very big reason why research guides are not easily available actually. And research guides worth the name. That's another thing, Now, what is the new condition? After 6 years of degree teaching, you become a research guide. Imagine. After 6 years of teaching. I once again go back to my postgraduate days and remember a wonderful dialogue between Nagarajan and our students, If you got an MA first class, for example, and next day after you got your certificate of MA first class, you went to Dr. Nagarajan and said, sir, I have a request. He would look at you and said, what is your request? So I want to do PhD. Then he would look at you in a very fixed gaze, look at you for half a minute, and then in a very cool way, he would say, well, come after 10 years. Come after 10 years. This was very significant. At that moment, this was very depressing. This fellow is a hurdle in my progress. Okay, this devil is a hurdle in my progress. It doesn't allow me my PhD because if I get my PhD, I will shine like a diamond and so on and so forth. But there was great significance in what he said. अरे भाई कुछ maturity तो आने दो आपको. आपने आज तक जो MA किया है वो सिर्फ textbooks ही है. You have read only textbooks. The whole world of knowledge is beyond the textbooks actually, Okay, and therefore try to read as many authors as possible. Something about the authors first, and then decide which author appeals you more than the other one. Then read some criticism against him, and then teach also some of those things. As you teach, you learn also. Teaching once is learning twice, as the BEd people say actually. So if you keep teaching the undergraduate students for 10 years, if you keep reading, if you keep comparing, if you keep kind of writing, if you keep attending conferences, this goes on piling up moment after moment to your maturity level. And then you are eligible for pursuing research work. No, this is the meaning of that great come after 10 years dictum actually, So again, coming back, if research guides are not available, why not make use of the senior research people who are willing to, who have good health, who want to help students? Why not rope them in? Why not invite them to be research guides and so on and so forth? Funding is a problem. I will come to this in a minute's time actually, because I have some statistics there, And then citations, well, I have said citations is more or less, I think we have said it, we have mentioned it earlier, Look at this alumni profile. Oh, alumni profile. I was reading a book called The Innovative University, okay? A book, a very interesting book called The Innovative University. And this book is about how Harvard grew over the last 300, 400 years, how it developed, okay? And since we are talking about alumni profile, I will just read what is this alumni profile. I mean, this is only a sampling. I'm not giving you the entire list of Harvard alumni at all. Shastrajna, scientists, Rogen, Marie Curie. I will mention only 2-3 people. These are alumni of Oxford. I'm sorry, of Harvard. Look at this. America's Adhyaksha, Presidents of America, Franklin Roosevelt, John Kennedy, George Bush, Barack Obama. Look at that. These are Harvard scholars actually, you know. Then American Vice President Al Gore. Writers, my God, so there is a galaxy of writers studying in Harvard actually, you know, such as Rudyard Kipling, T.S. Eliot, Henry Thoreau, Ralph Emerson, Wallace Stevenson, E. Cummings. These are big names in poetry actually, you know, English poetry, American poetry. John Updike, novelist. Archibald MacLeish, a poet of note. Margaret Atwood from Canada, I think, you know. Margaret Atwood, Robert Frost, imagine. He was a teacher also there for some time. Professor of poetry, did not have an MA in English literature, imagine. But he taught poetry there, and I was damn popular as a professor there, I tell you, you know. I have many stories, but we don't have time enough actually, you know. Anyway, okay. Then Facebook creator, you know, Mark Zuckerberg is a past student there actually, you know. Then Windows wala, Bill Gates, well, he comes from Harvard. And then also General Secretary of, you know, Ban Ki-moon. You might be wondering why I am not including anyone from India. Well, they went there. We do not know what exactly they did there, but there are 3 names. There may be many more actually, you know. I said, you know, they went there. I don't know what they did there actually. I know only one person what he did there actually, you know. And that one son is P. Chidambaram, Harvard scholar, you know. And he's a shining example of excellence actually, you know, in his field. Okay. There are a few other examples also whom we know extremely well. They are public figures now, attractive figures now. Rahul Gandhi is there. He's an alumnus of Kareena Kapoor is also there, you know. But they are, you know, they have their own caliber. They have their own personality. They have their own mark and so on and so forth actually, you know. So anyway, what I am suggesting is this is one important criterion. I want to mention this, that this is one important criterion actually for giving marks, alumni profile, teacher quality. Oh my God, this is one area where we draw a complete blank. Nobel laureates, okay, Nobel laureates. I will in my whole life, I will never forget one incident. We were as tourists in Chicago University, you know, we went to America and we were tourists. They took us to Chicago University. And suddenly the students who were moving on the campus, you know, they suddenly made a road, you know, some people stood on the right, some other people stood on the left, and a very old gentleman was bicycling, you know, he was coming on a bicycle, you know, and he passed through. Because the other students took their sides and went there, we also made a road actually for the person who was coming. And after he passed on, we grabbed hold of one of the students there and said, "Who is that gentleman? Why did you rite of passage on all those things? Why did that happen?" He said, "Sir, he's a Nobel laureate scholar in our university." Nobel laureate scholar in our university. Now, we surely have very respectable professors in our campuses, great scholars, 5-10% principals. They are good administrators as well as great scholars also. I'm aware of this actually, you know. Principal Shirgurkar, he may be sitting here actually, you know, Dr. Anirudh Deshpande, who may be around or he may not be around, you know. I mean, in their own domain field also, they used to be very strong, you know, whether it is commerce or economics and so on and so forth actually. So what I'm suggesting is that the alumni profile and Nobel laureate are areas where we need to do a lot many things. Criteria in detail, I think I may not go through the entire thing because I'm looking at my wristwatch now. Freedom to experiment, achieve, and even fail. Now, this is one gray area for us, you know. There is not much of experimentation on our side actually. We are experiment averse. Okay, we are not inclined for experiments. I'll take a simple example. You know, we are very fortunate that the catchment area for us in most colleges, in almost many colleges, 80% colleges, the sample available in the form of students is very big, is very huge. Do we conduct any surveys? Do we prepare a carefully worked out questionnaire? Then do we try to do research over a period of time? Then try to get some findings out of the research, because the sample is so huge, and therefore the results are dependable. You are including 300 students, 500 students, 700 students. Why don't they attend class? For example, you are dealing with this question. Why don't they attend lectures? Why don't they attend class? So you have a very huge clientele actually. And then you come out of a research, you come out of a paper based on your analysis, your data, your feedback, the figures that you have collected, and so on and so forth. And then you arrive at the outcome, you arrive at the conclusion. It's a very simple example I'm giving. So we are not conducting any experiments, although there are chances of doing so. And if there are no experiments, there will be no advancement also. No new ideas will come up at all. Maybe one reason why we are afraid of experimentation is fear of failure. Okay, we might fail. Who was that gentleman? Telephone, Thomas Alva Edison. Actually, before he invented the electric bulb, he failed 1,000 times. Okay, 1,000 times. And later on, he said, I know 1,000 ways in which this is not to be done. So the right way was found out. He was not afraid of failure. He did not give up. Never give up. That is the great thing in research, actually. And therefore, permeable boundaries. Again, we come to this old idea of interdisciplinarity. When we say permeable boundaries, cross-cutting issues. NAC uses the phrase, cross-cutting issues means permeable boundaries. Permeable boundaries means mainly disciplinary approach in teaching, research, partnerships, twinning, different ways of interdisciplinarity are open. How many of them are we exploring? Are we practicing actually? International reputation for it in research, international reputation for it in teaching, number of research stars. Now I'm using the word deliberately actually. There is an idea, there is a concept of, in America, there is a concept of, in some universities, concept of a star professor. Okay, it's a very rare entity. It's a very rare personality. And I will give you a single example and go ahead. Those teachers of English sitting in the audience here for my presentation will have heard the name of Lionel Trilling. Okay, Lionel Trilling was a critic, a novelist and all that, of English literature, American. And he was also a professor of literature at Harvard. Okay. Now, whenever Lionel Trilling's class was there, and if students knew that the class was to be held, one student will tell another student and the word of mouth would go around, well, today let us go because Trilling is teaching. Look at the description. Trilling is teaching. He's a star professor after all, star professor. Many times, my dear friends, it is said, students do not choose subjects. They choose teachers. They choose professors. Why? Because the professor has such a fund of knowledge. They have such glamour and they have such goodness of heart for giving their knowledge to others that no other teacher could replace them actually. So this star faculty is a very favorite idea, which we don't have this so far actually. Just half a minute I will indulge in the past. You will most of you will believe, most of you will agree with me when I say, in my times about 50 years ago, colleges were by 70s, colleges were coming up everywhere in small areas also. We called them official colleges, In villages also new colleges were coming. And what was the specialty? In most of these village schools and village colleges, you will agree with me, there would be at least 1 or 2 or 3 teachers by whose name the school was known. Okay, by whose name the school was known. When I look at my college, for example, SP College, I can give you 10 names who were extremely, very dignified names. Look at Ferguson College, 10, 15 names, extremely dignified names actually, you know. So star professors, so students choose teachers rather than they choose subjects actually, you know. So what is the situation now? We have in most colleges we have what we call what Forsters call flat characters, you know. Okay, stick characters or flat characters, faceless teachers. There are 5% exceptions and there are honorable exceptions. I have hats off for them, respect for them. But the general condition is it needs to improve. Okay. Now, recognized not only by other world-class universities, for example, the Ivy League universities. And the Ivy League universities include Columbia University, Cornell University, Pennsylvania University, Princeton University, Yale University, and Harvard. And they have come together with an MOU. And because football is popular, they say, let us have no competition as far as football is concerned, actually, you know. And therefore, there is an interchange of what the new education policies say, you know, transfer credit bank and transfer of credit, actually, you know, okay. Transfer of credit within colleges, within universities, and so on and so forth. So this is an established idea there. And this counts as far as the world ranking is concerned, as a number of world-class departments, not all necessarily, identifies and builds on its research strengths. So lead subjects actually, you know, distinctive reputation. Every university may not have all the best, all the departments equally good, but some of them are well known, okay? And therefore, that also is a part of the reputation that they have built over the years. We go ahead, it generates innovative ideas. Yes, this is something very big. And Narayana Murthy of Infosys once asked a very disturbing question. He said, in the last 60 years, how many new ideas socially and nationally important? Remember, underline, socially and nationally important in everyday life. How many new ideas have come from our universities and colleges in the last 50 years? Whereas Princeton and Harvard and the other universities, you know, they have given so many ideas. Look at the GPS system, for instance. Single example I will give you. The GPS system, the microchip. Look at that microchip. These are concepts, ideas which have come out of universities. Okay. So is this happening? So this is one parameter, what I'm suggesting. Okay, then we generate a new initiative ideas, products. I think there is a huge list of, a long list of, and I have spoken of the best staff, the star teachers and so on and so forth, can recruit staff and students from an international market. There is a very, very interesting story about Harvard University. They wanted to recruit a particular, in a particular department as a senior teacher actually, you know. So people applied and they called for interview. And they selected one professor, extremely bright chap, having an excellent, highly dependable academic record. But this fellow started putting conditions. He said, the first thing that I will do, you know, I will engage only postgraduate classes. I will not engage undergraduate classes at all. Condition number one. Condition number two, I will not wear a necktie. Okay. Condition number three, I will engage my classes when I want. I will not follow any timetable. And number four, my wife is equally qualified, so you have to employ her and give her a commensurate salary also. Now, when the conditions were heard, Harvard said, well, we will take a chance some other time. They did not appoint him. Now, this fellow was absorbed by another university, Princeton University, on his conditions, okay, on his conditions. And in the next 4 years, this fellow got the Nobel Prize. Okay, this fellow got the Nobel Prize. So, inviting universities, inviting expertise from the world at great cost. Now, can we afford that? My question is, 70% vacancies are there in all colleges in India, all colleges in India. So what is going to happen? How can we get so much money if we want to have a scholar from America on our campus? Is it possible? Pune University has one professor now. But okay, anyway, the funding is available and therefore they can do that. So what I'm suggesting actually, these are some of the parameters for which we will have to prepare. And this is where, this is the direction in which the new education policy is slowly trying to push us. It is not saying that it should happen tomorrow, day after tomorrow. No. Usually a policy, a vision document looks ahead for the next 10, 15 years. भाई कल आपको ये करना है, one day or the other you have to do this. So prepare yourself, first of all, mentally, instead of indulging only in criticism. This is not possible, that is not possible, this is dreamy, this is hyperbolic. Criticism is easy to come and welcome, also very necessary. नींद काचे कर, नींद कनियर राखी आंगन कुटी छवाए. So criticism is very necessary. But at the same time, critics should try to mention, if 5 points are critical points, mention at least 1 point where you have a solution also. Okay, we go ahead, attracts a high proportion. Okay, I think I should rush through now. As a very sound financial base, I was talking about, if you want to get an excellent professor, he will put down his conditions. And naturally, you must have your damaji with you, your money with you, actually, good funding. Diversified sources of income, government, corporate, research income, philanthropies and areas, endowments and so on and so forth, provides high quality and supportive research. Anyway, has a first-class management team with strategic vision. The management agrees with new ideas. Let them come. Let new things happen. We want to do this and so on and so forth. Often has a long history of superior achievements. Look at Oxford University, about 1100 years old. Cambridge University followed afterwards, about 900 years old. Then Harvard is about 400 years old. Mumbai University, yes. Mumbai, Calcutta and Madras. I think 1856 or something, 1856. So centenary is long back over actually. So we also have our own tradition, and many of our universities have put in a lot of time for the sake of rising in quality and so on and so forth. Big contribution. Now, this is where I think the education policy is very sensitive. Prove your relevance to social needs. This is absolutely needed. A good deal of research happening in India is only paper research, only laboratory research. It never crosses the doors of the laboratory. And what is expected? The expected is from lab to land, okay? And from paper to people. This is the new movement that the new education policy expects us. And this is one criterion that is applicable in the high ranking of world universities, and continually increasing benchmarks, and then confidence to set its own agenda. Cambridge Review, I think I go a little ahead because this is URP and they have taken a survey of 2,500 universities. These are the findings. Where is Mumbai University? 1,316. Kharagpur IIT, okay. Then Mumbai IIT, okay. Delhi University, number 556. Totally only 56 out of 2,500. This is a sample survey of only one area, one particular area, okay. This is uska nichod jo nikal raha, ye sab ye hai. What do thinkers say about us now actually? Sam Petroda, for example, is very guarded in his comment. He says, there is a quiet crisis. So we are still not aware of the crisis. That's what is made by quiet crisis, in Indian higher education, okay? Then our earlier Central Minister for Education, was bold enough to say one day, Indian higher education is sick. Oh my God. Then our IIT product is not up to the mark. This is Narayan Murthy. No smaller a person, no less a person than a very successful man like Narayan Murthy, making this observation. And then Jairam Ramesh also, he is himself an IITian actually, a scholar. Our IIT professors are not world standard. Everybody has been talking in terms of high standards, world standards actually, Compared with these, look at ourselves, college professors and principals actually. What are we doing? Now, this is the searching question that we have to. And this is what our own home assessor now, NAC Maharashtra, is talking about us. Assessed about 7,000, 8,000 colleges. Let us say 10,000 colleges now. So far, first or second or third cycle are even less number. So you will see that on an average, the numbers could slightly change here and there actually. A grade 14%, 63% B graders, then 20% C grades. And finally, I say, God, there is a category called God bless colleges also, okay? So they are not eligible even for ranking. Look at the sad picture. I have taken this data from University News. This was a survey conducted in Harvard University. Forget the year and forget the sample also. Because it's very eloquent actually. Teaching is good. What do students say? Only 19% are happy. Teaching is good, only 90%. Imagine. Teaching is fair, 74%. Please remember that fair is less than good. Okay? Chalta hai, sab bode 12%, that kind of thing, you know. Teaching is not satisfactory. Now, who are the 6%? Advanced learners. They are not happy in the class. Okay? They are not happy in the class. One very bright boy scored 99% marks. He attended the lectures of his professor, and the professor said, "You fool, I saw you only once in my class. Had you attended 100%, 100 of all the lectures, you would have surely scored 100%. The student said, "Sir, I attended only one lecture, therefore I got 99%. If I had attended more lectures, I would have come down." So this is the ambitious mind of the advanced learners, and they are thirsty for knowing more, getting more and more and more. Are we giving that? What provision do we have? Actually, you know, how proactive are we about that? So change in teaching techniques. Now we are becoming aware of this, that diversified techniques are necessary. Pedagogy is important. I am told next speaker, maybe day after tomorrow or something, Dr. Sunita Wadikar from a senior lady from education. Now she is going to address you, and she will be dealing with pedagogy and related ideas. I'm sure she will come out with bright ideas about how new things can also be brought in actually, you know. So teachers are change averse. They don't want to change. Senior teachers have a typical mentality, bhaiya 2 saal mein ab retire hona hai. I have seen some principals also, bhai, you know, this is my last year. Naak khadde mein jao, baad mein jaye naak. I will not do anything about that. I don't think that philosophy should work in education at all. Till the last day of your work, learn to love it. That's very necessary, actually, you know. So, though there is no interactive teaching, experiment science method are lacking application value. You know, only paper qualification, application value is not there. Lacking seminars, assignments. Seminars, assignments are necessary because they are student-centric activities. So if there are student-centric activities, the confidence level and the learning level are very high. That's why they are very important. But say 65% lack of seminars actually. And look at the next one is very shocking. Number 9 is very shocking. Teachers are not available. When I was working in a very small college about 45 years ago, there was a professor of economics, you know, and he would always be sitting in the teacher room, in the staff room, you know. And whenever we asked, "Sir, I think you had a lecture, and what are you doing here?" So he said, "Bhai, wahan bachche hi nahi hai iska, wahan class mein bachche hi nahi hai, there are no students in the class." And then he would say, "I have told my students, if I see any one of you around, goli maar dunga." Okay, so teachers not available, teachers not accessible, terrible. There was a survey taken once in Pune University, Pune colleges also, and 10% of the students said teacher is not easily available. My God, this is something very serious and punishable. I will say punishable actually. You know. So no remedial teaching and so on and so forth. Teacher quality research. I think I will skip the slide. Those who are interested, the slides will be available with the organizing college. So why is a quality crisis? We come to this idea actually. We have seen what parameters are, and now briefly we are looking at why is this happening. Lack of, you know, useful conducive supporting ambience. 15 years ago, something very shocking happened in Pune Corporation actually, you know. The clerk had his nameplate on the table and he had acquired his PhD, okay. So he had written PhD, Dr. So and so. The boss came around and said, "What the hell are you doing with doctor here? You know, What is this use of doctor here? He picked up the nameplate and threw out of the window. Now, is this a supportive ambience for scholarship, for learning, for knowledge? I mean, this is an example that I can remember very easily, because it has gone into my memory and very disturbing for me. Lack of discipline. Do you agree? No discipline and sustained energy, hard work. Okay, hard work is necessary. Dr. Johnson, is a great scholar of the 18th century. He prepared the first English dictionary of English language. So he defines poetry 90% perspiration. Poetry, art, creation, 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration. So this perspiration, I heard a very beautiful sentence, about war. The nation that sweats in peacetime bleeds less in wartime. The nation that sweats more in peacetime bleeds less in wartime. So the activity, you have to keep yourself renewing, recycling, renewing yourself. Actually, what Stephen Covey calls sharpen the saw. Okay, if you go back to the book again, sharpen the saw, renew yourself. Okay, that is necessary. So give sustained energy, continuous energy, sitting for 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours for hard work. What is happening for our webinars now? They put the camera off and they continue with the presentation, but they go away. The teachers go away. And the speaker, a foolish person like me talking, assuming that people are listening to him. Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, you are an exception. The present audience is an exception and I have great respect. So everybody seems to be listening to me. Anyway, so the last one I said rampant corrupt practices. Do you agree with that? I will not speak about that at all. Lack of encouragement, lack of training. Yes, training is absolutely necessary for research. That's why we had a research methodology, IPR seminars and so on and so forth. Actually, absolutely necessary. You see, in my generation, research was completely voluntary. Completely voluntary. Now it is becoming an essential requirement for the profession. This is the big, what we call the pattern change, the paradigm change that has come over. And therefore training, it's a science after all, so training is necessary. Lack of genuine involvement, lack of time. Teacher, what is one excuse? Sir, time kahan hai? यूजीसी ने इतने काम लगा दिया है, वो प्रिंसिपल जो है ना इतना काम लगा दिया है पीछे, टाइम ही नहीं मिलता. कैसे पीएचडी करे, कैसे रिसर्च करे, कैसे आर्टिकल लिखे, ये है वो है. I think if you love your work, then you will find. In Marathi we have a saying, आवड असेल तर सवड सापडेल. If you love your work, then you will find time also for completing it. Actually, this is the secret of success in life. So we are still looking at lack of critical thinking, reading habits. We don't read much actually. We have become a viewing generation now. Most of us are glued to WhatsApp screen, small screen and big screen. That has become an important part of life. And what does it teach us? 50% of our messages, I keep telling my students, if you give me a good morning or good evening or good Wednesday, good Friday message, you will be blocked from tomorrow. Silly habits actually, teachers and we should learn to forget all. Keep track away from these things. So reading habits, increase our reading habit. There are no writing habits also. Disa maji thode tari te liya. Every day, try to write at least 10 lines of your own, and that will finally lead you to writing 100 lines, and then later on 1000 lines. This is what happens. Burnt out. I give you an example. Totally indifferent now. भाई मेरे तो 2 साल रह गए, क्यों पीएचडी का झंझट ले लूं, क्यों ये नैक का झंझट ले लूं, मैं अब जा रहा हूं, I am outgoing. Okay, so burnout case actually, all interest is dead. Government initiatives, okay, new education policies, an ambitious attempt to upgrade. Therefore, I was trying to make you aware of what does upgrading means on the international level, and there are so many expectations. So, what is the long and short? What is the summary? Indian higher education is in transition which is a clear thing because the new education policy 2020 has happened after a long gap of 30 odd years, 35, 38 odd years after all, So education in our country is turning the side actually, okay, transition. Our problems, important problems are access, equity and quality. There is a quality crisis. There is an equity crisis and there is an access crisis also. So gross enrollment ratio is a big concern for us. Governance and costs are okay. That's another big challenge, another problem, prickly issues. Then entry, yes, entry of foreign universities. Do you know a number of our students have already started registering for online courses of foreign universities. This is a fact actually, Okay, now finally it boils down to teacher quality. Harbingers of, bringers of, messengers of change. Their influence stops at eternity and therefore no society can rise. This is, I'm quoting this example, quoting this sentence from Kothari Commission. No society can rise above the quality of its teachers. So teachers for any society are the benchmark of quality. Please remember that. It's a great honor being done to us. I'm very proud that I am a teacher and I could do whatever I could in my career actually for my colleagues and for my students. So do teachers accept it? My last question there is, do teachers accept it? Are they available? What an opportunity is to have the privilege of being a teacher. Okay. This is the fellow who wrote that book, Innovative University about Harvard. The greatest of all vocations, because it keeps us anchored, connected in the world of youth, ideas and research. This is the great advantage. And advantage is no other field, no other occupation, no other employment gives you, okay. Therefore, my question to myself is, am I aware of this? Do I know this? And do I accept this? Now, if I say, yes, I'm aware of this, then what should I do? One idea I gave, come together, working together works, clusters of colleges, exchanging ideas, attending, organizing brainstorming sessions, learning from one another and so on and so, very necessary. This is the first thing that we should start doing before the university tells us to do, because after 10 years, they will kick you out, if you are not good enough, disaffiliated. ये बड़ा अच्छा भविष्य नहीं है देखो, लेकिन ये होने वाला है, ये तो पक्की बात है. Therefore, let us gird up our loins, let us prepare ourselves. Now, if we do not know this, if we don't accept this, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And what else can I say? God save the country. What may be India's constraints? Why are we not doing that? Do we need to accept all the West's parameters? Now, this is a big question. Sometimes this is raised in seminars. Sir, you have been talking about all these benchmarks and all those things. Why should we accept their leadership? So why not develop our own parameters? Yes, that surely is a very valid question. And that is the reason why NAC has come into existence, giving us our own parameters. Understand the position of NAC now? Okay. And then in doing so, NAC is also orienting us to what the world is doing, what the world expects from India and so on and so forth. Did India not have world-class universities? Yes, once upon a time we did have. Has India not produced world-class workforce in the recent years? In Bill Gates, what is that? University, I forget the name, out of 5,000 employees there, 3,000 are from India. Best doctors in UK are from India. Best doctors in America are from India. So we are running not short of brain actually, we are running short of, the knowledge, the awareness, the efforts, and, what zid honi chahiye, the spirit of not withdrawing at all. My dear friends, this is what I wanted to say about the topic that you have assigned to me. I had partly chosen the topic. I had requested Jyoti ji to allow me to speak on this, and she said, well, this seems to be very relevant actually as far as NEP 2020 is concerned. Jyoti ji if you offer me a good cup of tea, then I will say you have accepted my presentation. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful.
It was
No words.
exactly. It's like wonderful for enlightening us with your knowledge. Thank you for clearing our concepts and enhancing our understanding pertaining to the topic. It really provided a deep insight into well revealed the facts statistically, and the live examples you cited was extremely remarkable, sir, and interesting too. It really provided a lucidity to comprehend the topic. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Cheers.
Especially what I like was the recruiter's review that was put forth was among the best, and the best example that you had given for that, like an excellent way to calculate the of the students learning is like to get the review from the recruiters. That was really wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. Now, dear eminent dignitaries and participants, we would be delighted to have your suggestions and questions or queries. If any so, you may put up in the chat box for the same.
Please don't get a feedback because I'm not doing well there with them. Anyway.
Sir, if suppose they have any questions or queries?
Okay, go ahead.
Fine. So for that, I would like to invite Mr. Abdul Shamim sir and Dr. Meenakshi Vasnik ma'am to take over the charge of question and answer round and proceed further. Over to Mr. Abdul Shamim sir and Vasnik ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. After the insightful discourse by Dr. Shirirsh Chindhade sir on quality parameters of international ranking of universities, we move towards the interactive session to the question and answer session. Now, the first question has been put by Dr. Arpita. Sir, is there any provision for soft skills in the new education policy from high school for the young learners?
You please repeat that. I didn't get that clearly.
Is there any provision for soft skills in the new education policy from high school for the young learners?
Well, you see, if you look at this, the new education policy talks about the 64 Kala, 64 arts, okay, which was a traditional, education in India, 64 arts, and the 64 arts are not only technical professional knowledge. It also includes music, dancing, drama, and painting, and architecture, and it also includes, I tell you, engineering, and so on and so forth. So these are the things that should grow now at the level of our higher education institutions. This is the clear expectation. There is an emphasis on those 64 arts, actually, 64 Kala. So we'll have to make provision, I mean, we are not equipped for all these things, as a matter of fact, I know. Yeah. Yeah, next one.
There is another question.
Yeah.
The NEP stresses on regional languages, and then how will we compete with the on regional languages, and then how will we compete with the global institution? Asked by Dr. Mahajan.
It emphasizes regional languages.
Regional languages,
okay.
Medium of instruction, and then how will we compete with the global institution?
Oh, okay. I mean, I think we only half interpret the writing of the new education policy. When it says that regional languages are important, simply because, they are our cultural roots, actually. So, understanding one's culture will make you a whole man. That is one thing, holistic education, idea number one. Idea number two, does it say anywhere that we should not teach our students foreign languages, especially English? No, it doesn't say that, actually. No. It's taken for granted that for all high education purposes, for all international appearance, we will, after all, need. The education policy doesn't visualize a situation where the Harvard are listening to me in Marathi. Why should they worry about it? Unless I have very revolutionary ideas which Harvard has not produced, and they will have to learn Marathi. So are we equipped for that kind of creativity, that kind of out-of-the-box thinking? And therefore, as far as our foundations of learning, foundations of knowledge, habits of learning are concerned, it is the regional languages that carry the best possible results, give the best possible results. But after a stage, we naturally will have to shift to languages which the world understands. And in the present one, the English language is important, actually. Therefore, we have to I mean, there is no choice for us actually. So the NEP does not stop you, does not preclude you from learning English and maybe Japanese, maybe Spanish and many other languages. Are you aware? Well, I'm sure you are aware that a very high number of our students are learning Japanese now these days. In Pune, I find that there are Japanese classes going on, flourishing, I tell you. A small section is learning even Chinese. Imagine, very difficult because they have that picture script and all those things are there actually. And then one of my relations, a young girl, she said, Kaka, I mean, she said, Uncle, I'm learning Spanish. Look at that, So this will be both a voluntary activity supported by institutions, So at no place, on no page, does the new education policy discourages you from learning other languages. In fact, you have to be master of them in course of time. But the stage is a little later, First, solidify your foundation, concretize your foundation, which is primary education and secondary education. And then you launch onto a bigger area, a wider field. Okay, I think I answered that.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I'd like to add something.
Oh, Jyoti,
This is a
okay,
wonderful
okay.
thing, and that was the actually topic of so much of discussion during the drafting time also, because what should be the medium of instruction? Earlier, NAP actually this NAP focused on Hindi medium. Till primary education, it should be done through Hindi medium. So, lot much of debate and discussions went on, and they say, okay, it should be a local language.
Yeah.
Or home language. They didn't talk about mother tongue. They say home language or the language the student, the child understands. That is in the primary stage. And in the middle stage, they focused on some classical Indian language. And then after that, after 8th, 6th to 8th, they will be given now education in one of the foreign language. It may be English as well, but English can be from the beginning. So they have kept it open. Let it be English medium or any medium. But if at all it is the child's own language, because learning is better when it's his home language or regional language.
I'll just add one more point there as a footnote to
Yes.
what you say. Is,
Yeah.
India, like there is no example like India actually in the whole world, multilingual. Okay, we are so multilingual. 28 or whatever are official languages in India. I had gone to a NAC visit in Nagaland actually. So there are 16 tribes and 16 languages among themselves. Imagine. So they have evolved one common language, what they call Angami language actually, okay. Now, why is this happening? What Jyotiji is saying actually, so we have to settle with some kind of a language actually. Otherwise, there is so much in Pune. Take the example of Pune, for instance, there are 7% of Bengalis, there are 11% of Keralites, and so on and so forth. And they are not necessarily proficient with Marathi. So naturally, either Keralite, I mean, I'm Malayalam or whatever, languages, where are the schools giving this medium at all? So the only choice that remains is largely English actually. So this is what is going to happen. It will continue to happen because this is a very complicated situation. Easy answers to our different problems are not available. So instead of shedding tears on that, find out solutions at our level. That's the best way of looking at that.
Sir, you must have studied in Marathi medium since your beginning. I studied in Hindi medium also. Even my graduation was done in Hindi medium. So it's up to the individual student, and we were open to have to learn more languages.
I studied
individually. Now Swayam is there, so we can learn those languages.
I started learning English from my 8th standard. Okay, I did not know even ABC in my 8th standard, and now I'm very happy that I can use Hindi also, because for 18 years I was in a college which spoke Hindi, because it's a minority institution, So I had to pick up Hindi because I had to have a communication with my students, with my staff. Most of them were Hindis and speaking Hindis, and so I feel very comfortable. I may not be using excellent Hindi, but please believe sometimes I write poetry in Hindi also. Can you imagine that? So I mean, your own willingness is absolutely necessary for learning new things.
Boogie V. Thiango rightly says in the decolonizing the mind. Language carries culture through which we aware ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good, good.
Sir, next
Sir,
question.
there is a question invited from Siddhant Deshmukh, sir. He asks, if JEE Advanced AIR1 leaves IIT Bombay for MIT. This is a question for you, sir.
You see, I think this is a very charming example that you are giving me. I am aware of this. Now, these are all professional universities. They are not comparable with our mainstream universities at all, for the simple reason that the staff is international standard. The resources are international standard. The selection criterion of students is, excellent possible. It's all over the world that they are open for admissions actually. So if you have the best of everything, and if you don't perform well, then you should be closed down. Simple as that actually. Simple as that. If a college where enrollment admission level stops at 98%, and the college says, look at our results, 100%, what is great about it? But a college like BESA or any small college actually, where the enrollment level, admission level is 35%, 40%, and then you have raised those students to 65%, 70%. I think that is greater than Oxford and Cambridge, in a way, actually, because you have brought about a tangible qualitative change in the learners. Is it not a very big eloquent achievement after all? So we should be looking at some of these positive points also. And forget IIT, and they are not for everyone. Okay, they are elitist organizations. Please remember that education is no longer for elitist activities. But I am not suggesting that they should be closed down. No, not at all. All kinds of people are necessary for the world to be happy and to be progressive. So the best brains and trained properly in the best possible situation are also welcome for all of us. And therefore we are proud of these IITs and IIMs at all. Obviously, hats off to them, because they are the prestigious institutions which are bringing great merit and great honor to India. So we should be indebted to them. But that does not mean that we are doing best everywhere. No, not at all. The best has to trickle down to all the mainstream. And then we will say, we have produced a novelist in Nagpur who has got a Pulitzer Prize. And that speaks of international standards. Okay, we go ahead. I hope there are no questions. But anyway, let us say.
There is another question.
Okay.
Would you throw light on teacher-student ratio in the NEP, inquired by Dr. Khan?
Teacher-student ratio?
In the new education policy.
There are no clear guidelines about that actually, but the education policy mainly talks about the increase in gross enrollment ratio. And therefore, if we are concerned more with that, it doesn't mean that we are neglecting quality, not at all. But at the same time, quality has to be spread in general actually, and therefore the GER is equally important for us as quality education in India. And therefore, it may not necessarily keep conditions about how many students we should enroll in one class and so on and so forth. That will mostly depend on the local situations, where the institutions are working actually. Okay. So government will have to see to it that if the government doesn't see to that, then the industry will have to see to that. The corporate world will have to see to that. Philanthropists, rich people will have to see to that our colleges survive. Okay, because they want to have good teachers. Where will the money for their salary come? There is no enrollment. There is no recruitment. So government, what is this PPP after all? Privatization, we may not like, that's a different thing. Because we are always looking for a comfort zone. Nobody touches my job. Nobody touches my salary. Nobody touches my laziness, and all those things are there. But this is no longer going to happen. This is already stopped happening in the world over. We are not a competition in the world, I know. But at the same time, the industry has to come forward. Still, it is not coming forward. But now the government has made it compulsory. Everybody knows CSR. Okay. CSR has become compulsory for some industrial units actually. I mean, there are terms and conditions. But what does it mean? Look here, you have a responsibility directly to social good also, social welfare also. So in the same way, we will have to, that's why NAC keeps asking, what MOUs do you have? I was in West Bengal, visiting one college. It was an interior college. It was near Chittaranjan, where the locomotive factories there, Chittaranjan. And the college, I mean, we were talking with the IQAC, and the chairperson asked one question: what is the situatedness about this area? So, what is special feature of this area? He said, sir, there are two very interesting things about here. The social structure is about 30% Christians, 30% Muslims, 30% Hindus, and the rest of them actually. So this is one peculiar situation, number one. And number two, there are 1,000 industries around. 1,000 industries around. That comes the question, next question from the chairman. How many MOUs and live MOUs do you have with some of these industries? And the IQAC people started looking at one another. In English language, there is a saying, while the green grass grows, when opportunity is there, while the green grass grows, the silly horse is hungry. The horse does not know, grass is available, opportunities are available, and why don't you take them? So we put a condition there, for in the next 5 years, there should be 5 MOUs, and the MOUs should be functional, not paper MOUs only. Okay. When I say functional, your IQAC must have one representative from all 5 industries. First of all, they will give you ideas. Our heads are blocked with ideas actually, We don't receive any new ideas because our minds are not open. But these industry people have a big survival problem. If they don't change, if they don't develop, if they don't improve, the unit is closed down. Can we afford to close down our unit? No. The new education policy would like to open more units actually, because after all, welfare, social welfare. But only the government cannot look after all these things, That's the big difficulty here. And therefore, philanthropists, industries, corporate world, generous people, great people, organizations, they have been helping, I tell you. Yeah. How does the alumni, how do the IITs flourish? Oh my God, they receive tons and tons of money from their alumni. Okay, Shroff, who is that Shroff, that lady? 2 years ago, because she is an alumni of Harvard, she gave some $40 lakh to Harvard. My God, my God. $1 lakh should have come to Besa College, in fact,
Yeah.
So we'll have to tap sources. That's the whole problem. We'll have to tap sources. We cannot sit quietly in our staff rooms. Liaison is necessary. Okay. Communication with broader world, the generous world. They are waiting for you to come. My son is a company secretary in a Japanese company, and he is also in charge of the CSR activity. And he says government is liberalizing CSR activity. Earlier, there was only some pockets where the funds were to be given. Now, the funds are also to be given for libraries, for heritage institutions, and so on and so forth. Actually, So widening horizons are there actually, and they have tons and tons of money, a lot of money. And the government says, if you don't spend, send the money to government exchequer. So anyway, they will take an advantage of helping the society around them. So this is what colleges are expected to do. There is one, I think I remember well, Khalsa ji, Dr. Khalsa. I had gone to his Armory or something. Armory. There is a place called So I had gone to his. I had gone to his college for a seminar, and he was telling an interesting example. There is a cement factory or something there actually. So we conducted the NAC, the NSS unit helped the collector in survey activity and all that. And the collector was surprised. He says, how is it that our government statistics and your statistics are different? Our data is different, your data is different. The principal says, sir, our data is more reliable because our students have visited each and every house. And we don't know whether your government people have done that or no. Okay, so our data, you can recheck, double check our data. It's a challenge. The collector was so happy. Principal Sahib was telling me, the collector was so happy. He gave a recommendatory letter for the cement factory, and they got 5 lakh rupees. The college got 5 lakh rupees. Now, this kind of an initiative, this kind of an awareness, guys, this kind of proactive approach is necessary for us. We are not sitting in an ivory tower now. Please remember that. The moment we look out of the ivory towers, we will see there are challenges as well as opportunity. Let us do something about challenges. Let us grab hold of the opportunity. Okay.
Yeah, sir, I'd like to add 2 things here. When we talk about CSR, this NEP says that CSR fund will be utilized for the scholarship. And
Excellent.
50% of
So opening out.
of our students will get those scholarships.
They are opening out. Earlier, there was no provision for that.
Yeah.
So
and even ISR is there, sir, institutional social responsibility.
It could be CSR also, college social responsibility. CSR also.
Yeah. Even we are, ISR is there, so we are also responsible.
I am suggesting that only. Why ISR, CSR, C college, not only corporate.
Yeah, true. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Jyoti ji, I am very happy that there is such an interaction, and most of them have been so patient with the whole presentation. It's
sir,
just commendable.
If there are more questions. Fagare sir is also there. Shamim, there are questions?
Madam, there is no question. The platform is open if the digital participant wants to ask the question.
Yes,
so they can.
Fagare sir is in sir. He is a NAC assessor also. He did a training with me only, and so he is there. Okay, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hi, hello.
Good evening, sir. I am Dr. Gurunath Fagare from Kolhapur.
Nice meeting you. Okay.
My question is, after all, considering all the environment prevailing in the current situation and for the last 10 years or so, my question is, what would be the way to proceed to achieve excellence in higher education, particularly in state of Maharashtra?
What will be the solution?
Yes, sir.
Do you think I am Kasturi Rangan or sir? Okay. No. Okay, that's a wonderful question. Actually, one answer I try to give you in the beginning itself.
Right, sir.
Come together because there are common difficulties.
Right, sir.
If we come together, some of those difficulties can be taken care of. It's something very, because I am a language and literature teacher.
Very good.
I have always felt that if my students are learning Hindi as special language or English as special or Marathi as special, why can't we introduce a 2 credit point or 4 credit point course in blurb writing, in proofreading, in page making, in book making, in editing? There are several chances. I mean, you see, there are many presses working around and they complain we don't have good operators at all. They don't know Marathi well. They can't compose properly. So this is the requirement of the society. Okay, forget government jobs. We will have to. Private sector is a great employer sector. I tell you now. Once upon a time it was government. Government sector is shrinking. Please understand. And shrinking very willingly. I was fortunate enough to visit 84 colleges for NAC and for seminar another 84 colleges, throughout India. And one common picture is that in the last 10 years, there has been no recruitment at all.
Right, sir. That's why I was intended to ask this question.
For what Stephen Covey said, interdependence.
Right, sir.
Interdependence. These are wonderful principles. We have to learn from them actually, and a lot of brainstorming activities. So I have given a simple example of proofreading two credit point course. 2 credit point means about 30 hours. Okay?
Right, sir.
30 hours and some written work or whatever. You find out the details, etc. Start doing these new things. One principal from Mumbai said, "Sir, how will the university accept?" I said, "Go to hell with the university. Why should we bother about university?
Right.
If it's for value addition, you are giving it a course. If it is a good course, students will come to you. And you are not asking a certificate either from government, you are not asking for grant. Either from university, you are not asking for a certificate at all. Now, after 10 years, what will happen? Affiliation system is in doldrums.
Right.
Affiliation system is going to disappear. Okay? So
Yes.
your own certificate will be important. So such things, I was in Gujarat. Another wonderful example. I was in Gujarat, and the question came up: employability. How many of your students are employed? So the principal said, "Sir, mine is a girls' tuition, girls' college, and I mean they are not officially employed, but our survey shows that during Diwali season and during marriage season, most of the girls earn in thousand and thousand only for mehendi work, only for bridal decoration and all these kinds of things. I said, "Arey bhai, ye chance hai aapke liye. Why don't you form a course in this?
Right.
Okay, prepare a 2 credit point course, 3 credit point course." I was in Karnataka near Hampi. Hampi is a
Yes, sir.
heritage place, and the history department was 27 years old. The chairman asked, "In what way have you taken advantage of Hampi?" The teachers started looking at one another. Okay, which was an answer for us. So he said, "My dear friends, why don't you start a tourist guide course? Okay,
Right.
let geography, English come together, prepare a little course for them, 3 credit points, 4 credit points, and yours is a government college. Your advantage is yours is a government college. Approach the government and say every tourist who comes to Hampi has to register for a local guide from this college. Will it not give you employment?" So one of the teachers said, "Sir, what a great idea." And the chairman said, "Do you want 3 fools from outside to give you a great idea? Why did it not occur to you?" So the same idea, while the green grass grows. So you have a wonderful example of a silly donkey here. Generation of new ideas, innovation, breakthrough approach, problem-solving approach. These are our needs actually. Do I, sir, answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, surely. I had another question,
Oh my
and
God.
already that question is answered by you, sir.
Okay.
The question was, how can we begin with to come together and begin? That's the answer.
It's a big issue actually. We can't come together. That's
That's the big question, sir.
You see, there is a thinker called Alvin Toffler. So Toffler has written a beautiful book called Future Shock. Okay, third wave and all those things.
Right.
He comes out with a very interesting formula for modern world. He says the illiterates of tomorrow. This is something very interesting. The illiterates of tomorrow will not be those who can read and write, because everybody will read and write. Okay.
Right.
The illiterates of tomorrow will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who are the illiterates of tomorrow, those who refuse to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Relearn. Right, sir.
So this unlearning is necessary. What is the unlearning habit of with us? Not coming together. So unlearn that habit.
Right, sir.
Okay.
Right, sir.
Does the
Thank you.
example go? Does
Yes,
the example
sir.
go home?
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you.
Applaud to your energy. Thank you so much for your.
Now, please allow me. My wife is sitting in front of me with a beautiful, tasty dish, actually. Because she is very sympathetic. She knows, "Arey bhai, you have spoken such a lot," and there are bombardment of questions. Anyway,
Okay.
Jyoti
have satisfied
ji, I am very happy.
participants.
Jyoti ji, I am very happy that the audience is so lively and so receptive. Okay, congratulations
Yes,
to
just 2
you
minutes,
and
sir.
to all the five colleges. Congratulations.
Yeah. Humira, please conclude.
Yes, ma'am. Gratitude is the most exquisite form of courtesy. So I deem it an honor to propose vote of thanks at the end of this third preliminary session of the 8-day national level quality improvement program to all who helped us in making today's evening such a resounding success. First of all, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our valued invited eminent speaker, Principal Dr. Shirirsh Chindhade, sir, Member of Board of Trustees, AICP Pune, for gracing today's function. Thank you, sir, for not only sparing your invaluable time for us to grace the occasion, but also
Well, my time is for you now.
for enlightening us with your commendable talk on the subject. So we are really very grateful. It was very interesting, thought-provoking, knowledge-enhancing address. I thank you, sir, for the words of wisdom that really radiated a source of energy within us. So it was indeed a pleasure listening to you. And I am sure that today's content will be echoed in our minds even after logging off. So thank you so much, sir, for answering the queries of our participants so satisfactorily. And no event can take shape without the hardworking leader. So it is the dedication and enthusiasm of a leader which made this event a huge success. I extend my profound gratitude to Principal Dr. Jyoti Patil ma'am for all her efforts and for being an efficient captain of our ship and giving the right direction towards the voyage of success. So thank you so much, ma'am. I express my deep sense of appreciation to the introductory speaker, Dr. Usha Sakure, ma'am, for her unflinching support and coordination. Thank you so much, ma'am. I further express my thanks to principals of the Cluster College and all the IQAC coordinators of the Cluster College for being the pillars behind the Vista and coordinating so well.
Just a minute. There are 17 participants from Shroff College, Kandivali.
Yeah.
Where they are generous enough to have me on their IQAC. So I have a special corner for them.
Oh,
Special thanks to them also, no doubt. My gratitude to Abdul Shamim sir and Dr. Meenakshi Vasnik ma'am for effectively carrying out the question answer round that really helped the participants to clear their doubts with sir. And above and beyond, let's not forget the backbone of today's event, the technical team, Dr. Rakesh Sarade sir and Dr. Anil Dodewar, providing valuable technical support in enriching today's session. Last but not the least, I express a big thankfulness to all the participants present here on this platform live for their patience listening, active participation. Hope each one of you all will log off with a lot of treasure in your minds. Thank you so much. Stay healthy, safe, and always happy. See you again all tomorrow at the same time, sharp at 5, with yet another resource person, Mr. Vinayak Shirgurkar, sir.
Oh, great man, great. I'll attend tomorrow.
Yeah, founder, president, chairperson of Board of Trustees Association.
He's our mentor.
Yeah, from Goa on the topic Global Practices in Liberal Arts Education. So once again, I thank all of you for your cordial cooperation. Thank you so much. Over to Patil ma'am. Suppose Shamim sir wants.
Now, it's